G'day folks, Alex McKellar here for Top Split Racing. Once again, going to go over a race we did this week at Brands Hatch, round 12, season 21, season 4, 2021. My goodness, we'll get it right eventually. This is an interesting one. It was late on a Saturday night, pretty good strength of field. It was around 3,200-ish. My terrible run in quali continues, as you can see. I 1x my second lap. I think I might have got fourth, all things being equal. Not much better than that. Some of the big names, Japanese Skippy Racing in the field, and a couple, in fact 3 of them just ahead of me. So George put it on pole. Toshimasa Hanada, who's awesome in quali, good to race with. Not often you see someone pip Naoya Nagai in quali, although Nagai missed his second lap. Takumi Yamato, another very strong Japanese driver who's come along in leaps and bounds. And again, the Japanese folks seem to have got it sorted in quali. David Maguire was new to me. Interested to see how he went. And then, of course, myself in 6th. Was looking forward to racing with Hiroyuki Shoda as well. He's a good young Japanese fella as well, and organises these Saturday races, which you see a lot of the Japanese guys come out to play in, so to speak. So we might get all the overlays sorted and get underway. And the other one I wanted was Battlebox. There it is. We'll show the dashboard as well. Might grab cockpit view. There it is. And we'll kick off. So 15 laps around here, of course. Always a really good skippy track, actually. A lot of fun to race here. Got a good start. And you see straight away Maguire puts it up the inside at the first opportunity. Made a nice clean pass, but already what you're spotting is what I feared could potentially happen, which is the front 3 starting to look like they might make a move. But Maguire thankfully held on, and we were still in the fight. Starting 6th, I know I say it often enough, but I was really hoping for a podium out of this one. And it'd be a tough night out, or a tough drive to get it, because you can see the front 3 are already, there's an inkling of a gap, and if they get it, they're going to drive away. And here's where it starts getting interesting. These 3 corners out the back. Straight away, Maguire makes a big mistake. Yamato then falls in behind, which is smart, but that's one of the key moments in the race. Straight away, even if you don't know what the finish of this or the outcome of this race is, that's a key moment at any race. You've got 3 lightning fast drivers in front. Had a big mistake early on. Doesn't take much, and we are 1.2, 1.1 seconds off the back, and there's every chance that they're going to get away. I got a bit of encouragement here, 2x2 in front, but less so when I saw 2x2 directly in front of me. But Yamato, all he really did there was compromise and increase the gap that we had in front. So I got a better run out of the corner, did a bit of an over-under almost out of turn 1, looked to take the title on. I get the move done. Part of that really was almost to put Yamato behind me, so to see what Maguire had. Our only chance here is if Maguire, and look at that line that he takes, a very late turn in. He missed the apex there, but the late turn in like that suggested to me pretty early on that this guy might have some real track experience. I did a 5-minute Google after the race, and it turns out he does. An Irishman. You see 2x2 up in front gave me some encouragement that we might be able to get back onto them. Those two things combined, the fact that the way he was positioning his car early on, not so much that bit, where he grabbed the grass on the outside out the back. Same spot 2 laps in a row. But the fact that they were racing up front and Domenech was in between the 2 Japanese drivers suggested to me they couldn't just work together and get away, which again was encouraging. So at this point in time, putting myself between Yamato and Maguire, I was just, as much as anything, trying to give Maguire the room to potentially catch up. You can see where I've positioned my car here. I'm trying to be as non-threatening as possible. Take the line, buddy. But you can see even then he was so worried about being defensive. He was narrow on entry and slow on exit, which was, you know, going through my head at the time. But I was, at this point, I'm thinking, go team second pack. Let's try and get back onto him and hope, like nothing else, that Maguire's got some pace, which early things suggest that he does. I mean, he put it on ahead of me on the grid, certainly. And they're not too far away from us, right? So about 1.6 ahead of us at the moment. And again, see how I position my car on the outside? I'm trying to appear as non-threatening as possible at this stage, and Yamato's playing the game as well behind, which is good. Beautiful flow to this section of the track when you get it right. And Maguire was a little bit more cautious through there, as you would expect after making 2 mistakes, and that time he gets it right. Nice use of the track there by Maguire as well. And again, 2x2 in front. Here we go. That's what we want to see. That'll get us back into it. And so the race continues. They're getting it kind of sorted up front, even though they're kind of half racing, but I feel like we've got a bit of pace on them if we can work smart. Now here, I've stayed on the right because I'm trying to discourage Yamato as much as anything, and I'm still allowing Maguire to have the line. I just want to try and give him the room to be fast there, and hopefully overall we will be faster still. Now you can see we've picked up a couple of tenths there on the 2 in front, and we're still not going as fast as we should do though. Still, there's work to be done. Again, you see that line there, that late apex, and you'll see it at Druids at turn 2 as well. Maguire, again, I started thinking straight away, he's probably got a bit of real track experience. And you can tell sometimes just by the lines people take, and there's a move up front, and this is where my eyes get really big. Side by side through that right, sweeping right hander, the first of 3, slows them down enough, and we're in draft here. We're within a second. Maguire's done his job so far, and we're dead set in draft, which is great. And then Maguire, he's missed the apex, he's run wide, he's had a whoopsie, I've backed out, he's really struggling, and then all that work has been undone, unfortunately. Maguire actually pumped the bound sorry key at that point. I think he knew all that work that we'd done to get back on was gone, and we were about to try and do it all again. Now I held a tighter line here. Yamato wants a look, and I'm just thinking, come on dude, context of the race, we've just had a look, we've been so close to being on there. And anyway, Maguire straight back into it. He wants to have another look up the inside of Yamato, and Yamato cedes the corner. And you can see we went from in draft to we're 2 seconds behind. And at this point, 5 laps in, I always think about the races being in 3 phases. There's a sort of frantic start where there's a rush for easy or easier positions as people work out, you know, the conversation that they're going to have, or the types of people in the conversation that you're going to have for the rest of the race. When I say conversation, I've mentioned a few times on the podcast, I think of these battles throughout the race as a non-verbal conversation. where you position your car, you know, what you do on approach to corner. So you can see here, inside 2 tenths, Maguire's trying to put all sorts of pressure over me, right? That's a type of communication, right? Showing the nose on the inside here and pulling back in. Another type of word that he's using in this conversation, in this dialogue that we're having. Now, for me, again, recognizing that, you know, he's quick enough. I think the pace between the three of us is fairly even, and he wants to sit very close. I leave the door open here deliberately, and part of that is risk management. I haven't raced with Maguire before. See how I come across, though. I don't want 2 for 1. I just want Maguire going through, not Yamato at this stage. Although he comes up and shows the nose up the inside, but I'll defend that. See how I defended there, but I didn't defend the previous one. I probably could go either way there. I feel like Yamato's a bit racy in this one, and I'd really rather just go as fast as we can, flag to flag. Again, that late apex. I was thinking about this after the race. You see my tighter line through there? I figure that's like a sim racer's line, whereas the line that Maguire's taking is more of a real racer's line. It's probably something I need to think about there, but it's a really, like, it's a pretty looking line where you take that late apex there, as opposed to my grungy gaming line sort of thing. I feel like mine's quicker, but it's probably not. Hence why Maguire's is more the classic line. But still, at this point in the race, we're 3 seconds out of it, so we don't have the pace on our own to catch back up. And this, so I talked about the first phase of the race, which is frantic, and you know, they talk about you can't win the race in the first corner, but you can lose it. Similarly, those couple of errors from Maguire in that first lap or two, same kind of thing. It wasn't the dive bomb that did it. It was just the, you know, the big effort and the small mistakes that were enough when it's really tight in the front pack for us to be battling for fourth for the rest of the race instead of potentially for a podium. See, again, a nice late apex. He almost double apex is that, or it's really not a double apex. It's a wide angle and a late apex from him, which again made me think, yeah, he's probably got some real world experience. And again, like I said, a 5-minute Google, and I found he'd had some pretty decent experience on the Irish racing scene, which again, you know, we'll see probably a little bit later in the race too. So again, I'm not threatening here. I'm just wanting to go as fast as we can. Not that I was in a position to overtake there, but for me, I just want to go fast at this point. Because this middle stage of the race is really, I kind of think, like a grind. You might try and force your opponent into a mistake to make a position longer term, but ultimately I just want this to be as flat out as we can. And there's not enough difference for us or between us in pace for me to want to waste time with battling, because that's all I'm doing, right, is wasting flag to flag time. So again here, just moving out into I guess a less aggressive posture, allowing him to open up the corner. Very wide apparently. Again, it's little things like that that really made me think Maguire was driving at sort of 10 tenths. Whereas I'm at this stage, because we've got draft and I'm not, you know, I've sort of more or less given up on the front three, incidents notwithstanding. I'm driving at sort of 8 or 9 tenths. Slightly tighter line there, although it was probably me that was trying to more adjust to his line. And again, taking a non-aggressive position to make sure that he knows that I'm not attacking him, and Yamato's doing the same, although here I pull over just to make sure Yamato knows he's not welcome either. Although I think he's kind of settled into that middle stage of the race at this point, which yeah, like that grinding phase where you're just looking to to get as fast as you can through your laps before you come to that final, again, quite a frantic phase where the next lot of key moments can potentially happen that will finally determine the outcome. Griffiths behind, we dropped. Another reason why I didn't want to battle too much in those early stages, because Griffiths was potentially going to make this a four-way battle. I wasn't interested in adding to my risks, so to speak. Turn one here again, very interesting for those who haven't watched track guides or anything this week. I typically, when I'm on my own, I'll take that in fourth gear once the tyres are up. Again, look at this late apex, bang, he comes back very late, good exit speed, better than mine, something for me to learn. But in a pack, I'll take turn one, a little shift into fourth to get the third, to get the rotation, and back into fourth. And particularly if you want to try the over-under. Again, out wide, he comes in late, but he misses the apex. I don't know if I unsettled him there or whether he just missed it. It's one of the reasons why I don't try that late turn in, late apex there. Is because I don't think the corner facilitates it as much. I think the camber's not quite right and you often miss the apex, so I'd rather sort of keep a tight line through there to set up the long straighter course. So we're a little over halfway through the race at this point and still in the midst of that grind. And I'm starting to think about, as he nearly makes another mistake again. You see that rear outside tyre on the grass on the exit of that third left-hander there. Very, very sketchy. It's fast. It can help you with rotation to get across the other side of the track to set up for the left-hander, the next corner. But big risk too, particularly early on. It made me think that perhaps Maguire was pushing a little bit harder than I was. I had the benefit of draft, of course, and here I sort of just make sure I'm in between defence and attack there. I don't want to threaten Maguire too much at this point, but I don't want Yamato to get any ideas either, because we're starting to get in that last third of the race where I'm starting to think about maybe getting on front of this pack and defending. The draft here is... drafting the skips generally is just not what it used to be, and it makes a track like this far more difficult to overtake at than it used to be. So I was pretty close here. I've been following between 2 and 3 tenths most of the race, and I thought this time I'd have a look, and you can see he spotted it straight away and moved over to the right. Interesting, like I talk about non-verbal communication. I had not given any indication that I was going to attack. On the exit of that corner, I thought, okay, I'll have a look here. And straight away, he picked up on it and defended. I found it really fascinating at the time. I remember thinking, wow, how did he know that I was going to do that? Anyway, probably just experience, right? So if you look at his profile, he hasn't been on the service very long. But he just shows his experience, obviously, in the real world. So, again, but it brought a smile to my face in the midst of battle anyway. So 5 laps to go as we cross the line. Leaders low 38s at this point. We're doing sort of mid 38s. So we're never going to catch them in a month of Sundays. But they're battling away, or they're thinking about it in the closing stages once again. But we're now 4 seconds behind. And again, he comes in for his late apex, and it's deceptive. It's like I'm closing up, but because he gets the better exit, it shows me that I've still got some stuff to work on. But you can see both myself and Yamato are within sort of 2 tenths. Or actually, no. I was thinking here, because Yamato had been as much as 6 tenths behind at one point, and I thought we might get away, but then you can see here he is about 6 tenths behind. So I move out of sort of attacking posture again, because I'm thinking, we might get away and make it a battle in 2 here. But as I was saying before about the draft, it's no longer strong enough to make passing as almost a foregone conclusion as it used to be. It's now really made it so you have to at a track like this to fight and really earn the passes in a lot of cases where all things being equal, pace is pretty similar, which I think actually makes it a far more engaging challenge at times too. Frustrating sometimes, but engaging, and that's where you can pick up on, again, this non-verbal conversation that we're having, and that's all about where you position your case. See, I'm starting to take a more aggressive posture here, and it's actually where I start to make the move. We've got 4 laps to go now, and I'm starting to attack, and here's the over-under that I'm trying to get done. Oh, hear that little lift? That costs me because it gives him the time to come across. If I'd held that throttle, I reckon it might have been a different outcome there, but he was able to defend very strongly. Like, I had a look at the replay after, and there wasn't much in it. I could have easily turned in because I didn't lift out of it, but it's a risk you take, I guess. So he knows now that we're game on, and so does Yamato behind us, I think. You can see him 2 tenths behind in the biggest draft zone. So he knows, he takes a defensive posture. Only leaves me the outside. Very difficult to get the pass done here, but that's what we're up for. Starting to get down to the business end. Side by side, well done for both of us there. He left room, as did I. Oh, tougher to do there. And this is where Yamato has a look. He has a squeeze. Oh, I think I'll go 2x2 here as well. And oh, it just doesn't kind of work as well, unfortunately. And I've got a bit of damage to deal with. Yeah, it was a bummer. I thought about it. Obviously, in the heat of the moment, I didn't want to give the position up. It's tough to race through there though, isn't it? And Yamato was straight on the radio and apologising, but you know, on reflection, maybe I should have taken my medicine. You know what I mean? Like, I'd had my shot, and Yamato, in difference to what he did earlier in the race where Maguire made a mistake, he actually lifted and let Maguire recover for the sake of speed. He's probably recognised, like I did, that we were out of contention for the race, but we were now racing for 4th, and so stuck it in. Now, I'm pretty sure my timing's a bit bugged there, I think. Oh no. I thought this guy, it must have been in the race that I thought the timing was bugged, because I thought this guy was a lap car. So, I got a bit, I don't think I said anything on the radio, but in my head I'm thinking, what's this guy doing? He's a lap car. But I must have just misread the timing at the time, because you can see Katsuyama up ahead, up the road is the one. So I actually tried to put a move on this fella because I thought he was lapped. I'm thinking, why is this lap car battling me? What's going on here? But it was on reflection that I noted that we were actually battling for position. So he was well within his rights to do that. And then again, the guy behind him has taken advantage of that as well and come through. So, you know, we're down there battling for, I think, 10th position. But, you know, they're having their race as much as I'm having mine. But yeah, I did think it was an interesting example there of Yamato. He, like I said, he backed off early in the race, but in a different context. Here late in the race, he stayed in it, which is, you know, the right thing to do when you think about it. But yeah, interesting. You know, immediately I was thinking, oh, he's come out of me, and you know, come out and hit me. But then, you know, it's a tough thing to go through. And already after he'd apologised, I was thinking, oh, you know, it's probably just a racing incident. We'll go back and have a look at the replay and see what happened. And sure enough, we'll go back and have a look at it in a minute, because it's actually a really interesting thing to learn from. I always go back and look at my incidents, whether I've caused them. I had a race earlier yesterday before I raced this one, where there was some incredible battling going on in the front pack in the opening couple of laps. A lot of European guys raced the one before this that I was in, and it was just all kinds of battling that I didn't want to know about. But I missed my brake marker, and it was like I was 10-pin bowling. I took out a couple of the front pack, and I felt so bad. But here, and we'll see in a minute when we look at the replay. In fact, why don't we just fast forward through this, because it's pretty boring to finish there. I just walk away from the guys behind, and the front guys have their battle, and Domenech actually came out on top ahead of two of the strongest guys running around, certainly strongest Japanese drivers. But Nagai, for example, is he's fighting for the overall official series as well. So it was a shame, because I was really looking forward to racing with those guys, but didn't get the chance, unfortunately. So just quickly, we will take a look at the results so you can see what happened. Then we'll go back and look at that incident, because it was a really interesting one from my perspective. So Domenech took it out from Nagai and Hanada. Look, again, Nagai he's fighting for the official series overall at the moment, so certainly no slouch. And Hanada is not one that comes out for officials too often, but when he does, I have a great time, and he's at least when I get the opportunity to race with him. And he's no slouch either. Maguire, he raced well, I thought. A couple of mistakes early on cost us the chance in the front group, but that's racing, and no hard feelings with Yamato either, just quietly. So cut forward just quickly. You might have heard my family arrive home in the background, so we've taken a quick pause, and we'll jump back in and just take a look at that incident. But as I was saying, no hard feelings to Yamato. That's racing, and he was just having a crack. So, and then we saw Griffiths, Shorter, and Chard, and Momma finish in front of me, and me down in 10th. So let's grab a crack or a bit of a look at that incident. I've brought us back to the scene of the crime, so to speak. Actually, I might make that a little bit bigger so I can see the cameras. We'll start with a far chase look, I think. So you can see I've come up the outside here at the end of the big back straight to have a look. Actually, no, I've had a look earlier on. So realistically, the incident starts here. So again, Maguire's taken a defensive line. Good work. That's perfectly fine. We're in the battling phase now for the last few laps. I've done all right here, I thought, and Maguire did well equally. He's always going to get the better drive there on the racing line. Although, I'm in it more than I thought I would be to this point. And then next up, we come to the bit where I should have learned. I didn't brake. I thought I was on the outside to brake a bit deeper, but something I was talking about is practicing multiple lines, and I hadn't done it there before. So, and then what I really should have done here was context, right? There's still 4 laps to go after this. Take your medicine, give the position up to Shorter so Maguire doesn't get away, if nothing else, and, play the risk game. There's too much risk in this, as you'll see. So you've got Yamato up the inside, and it's his corner. I mean, look where he is. It was ego for me here that probably didn't let me get it. He's very narrow. So look at the angle that he's approaching the corner on. A couple of things. I've got to leave enough room and cater to the fact that he's going to push wide on the corner exit because of how narrow he is. So I'm more or less on the racing line, or not really. Look, you can even see I'm even maybe a car width off the racing line, because you look where Maguire is on the natural racing line, although I'd argue that he's using more of the track than I usually do. I don't like to clip the grass there, but I wouldn't mind being on the white line. So I'm narrow, he's narrow, I turn in. And look, realistically, I have left room on the inside, because the natural racing line there, you can see where Maguire's taken the corner ahead of us. That's the natural racing line. You can cut quite a significant amount there. And I've left that to Yamato on the inside. It's just the narrow entry angle, honestly, and that pushes him wide and just out into me. That's all it is, right? And from my perspective, I see that as a racing incident. And more importantly, the point of learning here for me is that I should have given that up. Back here, where I've made the mistake, well, it's not a mistake. I'm trying something and I haven't pulled it off. I suppose you could call that a mistake. You can see how far off the apex I am. In trying to leave racing room on the inside, I've missed by miles. He's going to have picked up an incident point there because he's cut too much, but I'm too... Oh, look, I could be a car width and a half inside easily. And if I'm a car width and a half inside, I don't go off the exit there. And at this point, I really should recognise, as soon as I get the spotter's call from Yamato on the inside, I've got to give that corner up. That's my view on it anyway. You see, he's got all the pace. And like I said, in difference to what he did earlier in the race, where Maguire made not a dissimilar mistake to what I just made, ran off wide and cost himself a lot of time, Yamato actually backed off. And I don't know if subconsciously that was in my back of my mind, it could have been, but at this stage of the race, he's not going to do the same thing, right? And he can look, he's well up the inside there. If anything, he could probably come a bit open over to the left a bit more to open up the corner, but he's giving racing room. Internet being internet, netcode being netcode, wise thing to do, but it's just the angle of attack on the corner there is so narrow on it. He's always going to spew out, and I need to leave more room than I did, or at least maybe turn in later. I did turn in late, but not late enough. And you can see in the middle of the corner, I actually turn again, because you don't want to run out to the left here, because there's only trouble out on the left in the grass. There wasn't much in it, but that was enough to damage my front right suspension, and then, then we're away. So, one of those things, it happens in racing. The important, and the reason I talk through this a little bit is, and honestly, I did spend a lot more time on it. I looked at cockpit views of both cars. I thought about even, drawing up little arrows and stuff so you could see the angles and all the rest of it. I do like to spend some time analysing my race incidents, whether I think they're my fault, my opponent's fault, racing incident, netcode, whatever it is. The idea is to learn from it. So for mine, the learning there for me in the main was just take your medicine, buddy. When you're in a position like that, take your medicine. Context of the race, like I said, 4 laps to go, still plenty of opportunity, but to take advantage of that opportunity, you've got to be in the race. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for watching. Tell me down below what you think I should have done there. If you have a different view, whether you thought I squeezed him too much on the middle or whatever. I'll be interested to hear different views, and again, it's all part of the learning journey. So folks, thanks very much for watching. Make sure you check us out 9:15 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time each and every Sunday night, although this is the last one this week for this season and this year, where we do Sunday Night Lights, the biggest race of the Skippy calendar each and every week. It's GMT plus 11. Get in the official race or check us out on Top Split TV on Twitch. All right, folks, thanks for joining in, and until next time, ciao for now.